Yes.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, we are live. Sunny Days Media Football Show. Sunday, December 24th. Merry Christmas Eve to everybody out there. We are still working today. We are still putting out content, and we're pumped for a lot of reasons. A lot of hopefully good things, selfishly for me, coming today. Lions play the Vikings 1:00. If the Lions win today, they will have won the division, the NFC North division, for the first time in franchise history, which is a very big deal. Job's certainly not done after that, but there is something to celebrate today in Detroit if they walk into Minnesota and they win.
You got to do it.
Your Jaguars playing today? Yes, they are. 4:00.
Must win.
Buccaneers.
Must win. I feel weird saying that because we haven't really had to win a game in a month, but here we are having to win. That's how it goes.
Well, you're tied up in the AFC South. You guys are both, 8-6? What's the record? 8-6. Actually, no, all three teams, the Jaguars, Colts, and Texans, are all 8-6. And what looked like a definite, it looked like the Jaguars kind of had this wrapped up a couple of weeks ago. And slowly but surely, the Colts the Texans all year have kind of been right there, but the Colts sneakily put themselves right back into the conversation. And I think this division's a lot better than we gave it any credit for in the beginning of the season.
Well, all three teams are a playoff team right now. They're all in the playoffs, which is insane. I mean, I thought the AFC South was going to be horrible, but watching it throughout the season, I'm like, these guys are pretty good, and they have good coaching. The Texans have good coaching. Colts have good coaching. Jaguars have good coaching. The Titans also have good coaching. They just don't have any personnel, and it's been a disaster for them, QB-wise, too. So
the Colts are 4-1 in their last 5 games.
Yep.
That head coach, absolutely should be a Coach of the Year candidate.
Yeah, you should. Now, the Colts have also beaten, they've gotten a great schedule, which is what you need. You need that as well. Like, even the best teams, if you play a tough schedule, but teams that are hot, like the Bills, other than today, it feels like every team that they're playing is hot and ready to beat them, and they always play in tough games. There's a mark on the target on their back. It's not easy when you get that type of draw. But
you're talking about Buffalo?
Yeah,
yesterday was a disaster.
So important.
Yesterday was a disaster from them, though. That was like you're walking into basically almost a home crowd for you, right? Because no one in LA cares about the Chargers.
But at the same time, Matt, how good do teams play
after firing
the coach get fired? It's like that's the fucking new best team in the league for a week or two.
I know.
So it's tough. It's definitely tough.
I was really disappointed. A lot of that because I bet on the game and I took the Bills spread, and that's my own stupidity. And I remember talking about it with one of my Chiefs last night at my Christmas party, and I was like, they just fired their head coach. Like, do you think there's any chance? And we both said no. Like, the Chargers suck. They're not going to come close. Bills are on a roll, and almost fucked it up last night, but they got the win. That's obviously what's most important.
Well, that hurts the Dolphins, too, because the Dolphins could have clinched if the Bills lost and they won. So now that they won, now the Dolphins have to win against the Cowboys. If the Cowboys beat the Dolphins this week, I think that the Bills wind up winning the division because the Bills and the Dolphins play week 18. So if it wasn't this week, if the Dolphins blow this game, then it comes down to the week 18 anyway. And I think it's a Bills home game, so that'll be fun. I don't even care. I don't even know who to root for. It's like my 2 least favorite teams, but there you go. It's funny, right, Matt? Your least favorite teams always seem to go so far and always seem to be great.
I'm aware. I'm a Mets fan. I'm a Mets fan.
Oh, God.
I see it every year with the Yankees. Every year.
I honestly don't know if I'll watch much baseball if the Dodgers get off to a hot start. I think I might just hang it up for have a nice summer. So you guys, but anyway, I mean, Lions can clinch anything today, basically, with a win.
Yeah, well, so it's weird. They weren't able. I think they clinched the playoffs last week after they beat Denver, but if they win today, if they win today, they win the division. They secure at a minimum one home game in the playoffs. But the way the NFC South looks, like the leader in that division is the Buccaneers at 7-7. If the Lions win today, the Lions obviously won't be able to drop lower than 3 because the Bucs can only go 10-7 at best.
Yeah.
The winner of the NFC South. So but outside of the magnitude of you need to win the division, like all that's important. But if you're the Lions, you're really kind of looking at that 2 seed because the Niners are 11-3.
Yeah,
they're going to be the 1, and that's fine, right? Like they've earned it. But if you're the Lions, you're definitely looking at that 2 seed, and you're looking real closely and now anything can happen, right? If you're the 3, the 7 could come out and beat, if it were the Cowboys or the Eagles, who's ever the 2. Yeah, I mean, anyone could win in the playoffs, but you really want to secure that because it's one thing wild card round being home, that's great. But now divisional round, if you don't have to get back on a plane, if you could stay in your normal routine, stay at home, play in front of your home crowd, that goes a long way. And that could be the difference maker propelling you into the NFC Championship. So they're looking at these. They go to Minnesota today. They go to Dallas next week on Saturday as well, 8 p.m. And then week 18, they're playing Minnesota at home. You're kind of looking at these 3 games like it would really help you to get a clean sweep here because the Eagles are reeling right now. Like they're a mess. There's apparently a lot of fighting in the locker room. They just made Matt Patricia their defensive coordinator. What a fucking disaster that is.
Well, how about the embarrassing reports coming out of Philly this week? And it's not, look, it's obviously bullshit, but it's just annoying that the team they're a great team. Like they're 10-4, right? I think that's their record. So like your quarterback clearly is having a decent season. He was an MVP candidate for the first 12 weeks of the season. He's had 2 bad weeks, 3 bad weeks maybe, and then all of a sudden the reports are coming out that the Eagles don't like his leadership.
There's a divide in the locker room.
It's embarrassing. Yeah. Cut everybody that doesn't want that. If you're against Jalen Hurts, you can't be on the team. That guy's just such a team player, such a good guy. Wants to be there, practices. I know he's showing up in the fucking every day. His dad was his coach. He's been getting coached at a professional level basically for the last 15 years. The guy was destined to be a quarterback, and he has a demeanor, no off the field issues. He goes out there and he's like Cam Newton 2.0, and he's a way better passer than Cam Newton. Like the past few weeks, all right, I get it, but it's not like everybody's wide open. Maybe he's trying to make a play, and it's hard to see those stories. It's like you trade him to another team. See what that team thinks of him.
Yeah,
they're gonna fucking love him.
I mean, their loss last week.
Crazy.
Those were 2 awful pass. The 2 picks. I don't know if he threw 3 picks. I saw him throw 2.
Do 2.
They were awful. Awful.
They were awful, but they were also punts.
I guess.
Think about it.
A guy that's an MVP candidate. A guy that. So we view Jalen up here because he's that good, because of what we've seen out of him, what his potential is. That's why our view of him is so high. Both of those throws, especially the first one, that was just short, which is weird because he's got a cannon for an arm. There was no reason for that to be a short throw. That's one of those throws that I say it with Jared Goff all the time. That throw's got to be in the end zone. It's either going to your wide receiver or it's going to nobody, and that's it. You cannot, when you throw a deep ball like that, you cannot underthrow, especially when there's no safety over the top. Yeah. I mean, whoever he was throwing to I think it was A.J. Brown, or it might have been Devontae Smith. Whoever it was beat his man. The receiver did his job there. So, and then the same thing, end of the game, he's putting the ball in a place he shouldn't. Listen, you're 10-4, right? You've been to a Super Bowl before. It's not like the world is not collapsing on them, but there are some serious issues. There's some serious issues, and this is a point. If you're the head coach, you're Nick Sirianni. This is where we need you, right? If you're an Eagles fan, you're looking at Nick Sirianni saying, "This is where we need you." Right now, you need to take control of this locker room, take control of that storyline that's out there. You have to, because you already look like an idiot when you came out 2 weeks ago and said, "No, I'm not making a change at defensive coordinator, and here's Matt Patricia." So you did make a change, right? And now you need to take control of whatever this is. Whatever this is, if it's a Jalen problem, fix it. If it's not a Jalen problem, wherever this problem is, you need to take control of it, because Man, Eagles fans are not going to be happy. Not going to be happy if you had the season you had this year, coming off going to the Super Bowl, and you come out flat and lose first round of the playoffs. That cannot happen in Philly.
Well, you know what, Matt? You know how hard it is to stay hot for 8 weeks? Because that's what it would have had to happen. If they won, if they were hot for the last, whatever, how long, right? Yeah. Sometimes you need to get cold. Even in baseball, like the team that's not that hot in August gets a little hot in September. They somehow can catch fire and win in October. But a lot of these teams, that are really, really great going into the playoffs because they ride in some really great hot streak, they wind up blowing it. And I think that works with football too in a lot of ways. Like you sometimes you just go in funks. Like as good as you are, teams will find you out a little bit. Maybe you'll get stopped on offense for a week or two. Then your offensive coordinator has to go, mix things up, change a little bit, add a few plays. I think that like right now, it's almost like, all right, get found out now and see how I can beat these guys instead of, going into the playoffs or going into the last week of the season and somebody finds a tell in your offense and then you wind up getting screwed and you lose in the first round. I think that there's some aspect of it's okay to not be playing that well as long as you turn it up now. Like you could have a few bad weeks, especially the Jaguars too. Like they've had a few bad weeks. They are not playing good football. However, if there was a time for them to not play good football, it was when they had a 3-game lead on the division and they had the quarterback hurt his ankle and he had a concussion, and that's fine. You know what? You're going to lose. It's the NFL. It's the league of parity. So I want the Jaguars to be able to turn it around, just like I think the Eagles will. Like I hope the Jaguars can follow what I think the Eagles will do, is turn it around, be a juggernaut again like they were, and go make some noise in the playoffs. But I also am not rooting for the Eagles as well, so I would like for them to not go crazy in the playoffs. I want to see the Lions. I want to see I actually do want to see the 49ers this year because I think it's a great story. Like Brock Purdy, man, it's a great story. So get hot, it is what it is. The past is the past. Get hot.
I think the majority of NFL fans, this is through my head as a Lions fan, but I think the majority of NFL fans, if you ask them like what NFC championship do you want to see, Lions and Niners, 100%. I think everybody wants to see those two high-powered offenses go up against each other and kind of whoever blinks first, which right now I would say definitely looks like the Lions because they really can't play defense. But I would love that. That would be phenomenal. I think obviously America fucking hates the Cowboys, so it's never like America hates the Cowboys, but they love to hate the Cowboys. You know what I'm saying?
I hate the Cowboys. I mean, how could you like them?
If you grew up a Cowboys fan, I mean,
the only reason you grew up a Cowboys fan though is because you just like, especially in New York. There's a lot of Cowboys fans in New York. The reason that they're Cowboys fans is because they just wanted to go against their parents,
or their parents were Cowboys fans and they became a Cowboy fan.
Yes, that's the only two ways. Because
same thing with Steelers fans. Like dad was a Steelers fan in the 70s, and then the kid became a Steelers fan, and then the next kid. You know what I mean? It's like the Cowboys, Packers, Steelers, Raiders, and like I don't even know what else. Honestly, the Giants are kind of a national brand. Like those are like the 5 teams that like wherever you go in the country, you'll find fans. You'll find fans of them.
Niners too.
Yeah. I would say Niners too.
They had that. Yeah, it's the fucking.
They had that run in the 80s and the 90s.
When are we gonna get our run? Get some fans, right?
Well, honestly, man, Hard Knocks definitely helped that with the Lions. Like it definitely helped the image because like when they hired Dan Campbell, people were like, "Are you fucking kidding me? Like this is what you did." And then like I think when people saw a lot of the behind the scenes and the type of guy he is and the way that whole coaching staff interacts, especially with the players, I think people really bought in. They're like, "Oh no, these guys are fun. Like they get it. Definitely a lot smarter than they come across as, especially Dan Campbell. When you first hear him talk, you think he's a fucking meathead, and then you kind of see the way he operates. And we have a bunch of fucking comments here. Jerry's at work, but he's tuning in. Only issue with Detroit is San Fran defense. Yeah, Absolutely. The one thing I will say with San Fran though is there's not a lot of depth there. So like any injuries? What was that stat you brought up like weeks ago with Debo?
Debo's the best. That's the stat.
If he doesn't,
if you could just get Debo off the field, you win. Especially if you're a good team. And people like, there's no matter who you are, the week of upcoming to the 49ers game, whatever team that is, you're watching this dude on tape and you know that you can't tackle him. You know he's going to run you over. And when you know that, you hesitate and you can't tackle him. You just can't tackle him mentally. And I think that's the biggest issue with these teams is that they can't tackle Deebo Samuel. If you can't tackle Deebo Samuel, he's going to take a screen pass to that fucking house. He's going to go on an end around to the house. He's going to fucking take a direct snap and go to the house. It's almost like he's the hardest person in football to tackle. And I think he is. I think he's just one of the best players, like football players that you could have. So when you have that close game and it's 3rd and 7 and you throw the slant to Deebo, he doesn't just get 9 yards. He catches the ball, he puts a guy in the dirt, and then he runs 25 yards, and then maybe puts another guy in the dirt and takes it to the house and laughs on his way to the end zone. Because that's physical. The type of player
he's a very physical. He's a very physical.
They don't make guys like that anymore. No. They don't make them like who are receivers? Calvin Ridley hasn't broken a tackle all season. Jameson Williams isn't breaking tackles. Amon-Ra St. Brown, he's shifty.
No, St. Brown's a little fighter. St. Brown's a fighter.
He can get yards, but Deebo gets 60 yards, and he looks like a horse running. Like his legs, his body's ridiculous. It's. I wish, and he was available. Remember, he was available 2 years ago for a 1st-round pick. And nobody sacked up and did it. The Jets could have had Deebo Samuel for Garrett Wilson, which I think that at this point, the Jets really don't mind that. Like, it is what it is. They got a great player, but the Jets could have traded for Deebo Samuel and traded that 10th pick away. It was the plan B to the Tyreek Hill, and then they obviously didn't do either one. So, but those players are difference makers. You know, like if you take that guy off, even if you take McCaffrey out, I don't think it hurts as much because the running back is the running back. Like a lot of the McCaffrey's plays where he's schemed open, he's really wide open. Like a lot of players are going to get yards on some of his plays. Whereas Deebo, it's like you're expecting him to make a ridiculous play, and he does. So I actually really want to see this Lions-Niners championship game because any given Sunday, right? But I just don't know how. I think San Francisco might pull an 85 Bears and just completely run through the playoffs. Makes me a little nervous.
Yeah, if there's a team that worries me, that's definitely the team. The Eagles, I think the Eagles are if you're the Lions, the Eagles are beatable. The Cowboys are kind of another they're like another Jekyll. Oh boy, they're like another Jekyll and Hyde team. Where you don't really know what team you're gonna, and especially if they're on the road, you've seen them blow some games on the road. If they don't have their home crowd behind them, something about them is just not the same. Yeah. You know what I mean? So that's
you're asking them to do it 4 games in a row.
Yeah, well, it's hard, but someone's got to do it, right? That's how you win the Super Bowl. You have to get hot. It always brings me back to the 2007 and 2011 Giants. At no point during the season was either one of those teams the best in the league. At no point were they even top 5 in the league. They were not a great team both of those years, especially 2007. But they just got so hot. They got so hot. They burned hot in late December and carried it through the playoffs. Yeah, and they had 2 of at least one of the 2007 Super Bowl was probably the most historic Super Bowl of our lifetime.
You know why they won that Super Bowl?
Why?
Because they played the Patriots week 17. It's the only reason. They played the Patriots and they lost. And it was a high-scoring game on both ends, but they figured out how to beat Tom Brady that year. And they went into the playoffs. They got hot. I don't know if you know this. Michael Strahan was going to retire. And they were like, please just play one more year. He's like, I'll play, but I'm not coming to training camp, and I'm not going to practice the whole year. He created really that veteran day off. Mm-hmm. He didn't practice Wednesday or Thursday the entire season. He didn't go to training camp. All he did was say, I'm 30-something years old. All I can give you is Sundays. walked through on Friday, played on Sundays, and they won the Super Bowl. 38-35, Chris. It was a great game, and the Giants should have won that game. But that game was the reason that I remember sitting there with my dad. He's like, "Wow, if the Giants can make it happen, they're gonna beat the Patriots," and they made it happen, and they beat them. It's a great story. It really is a great story. Doesn't happen without that last stupid game in the regular season. Yeah.
Which brings me back to my Lions point of you really got to sweep the Vikings and make sure they're not in the playoffs, because am I particularly worried about them? No. Do I think that they're great? No. But you also don't want to see the same team 3 times in 4 weeks. You don't want to be in that position. No matter how bad you think that team is, you don't want to play the same team 3 times, especially all, like I said, in a 3-4 week period. That's honestly the worst possible playoff scenario for them. So you got to beat them both times here, knock them out, and whatever happens to the rest of the NFC. I mean, we said it. I guess Thursday of this week. Like, you're probably looking at some version of the. We go over the wild card picture here. Probably in the NFC, some version of like the Rams, maybe the Seahawks at this point. I don't think the Saints are going to make. I mean, if the Saints make it, they got to win the South. I think there's going to be one South team, and then who knows? Maybe the Packers. If the Packers have, I think the Packers have the Panthers this week, right?
The Packers have the Panthers. Yeah,
Packers are the Panthers. That's the other thing too. Today's game at 1:00, I think I don't even think I need YouTube TV for it. I think it's going to be on like actual cable TV.
That's the beauty of having a good team.
So, did you see the Fox map for this game?
Let me check. I'll go on 506.
It's like literally the entire country except for like a portion of the Midwest and a portion of the South. It's all the red is the Lions game.
What is this week? Wow, we're at week 16 already.
Week 16.
Let's see. Look at that, man. You've come a long way.
Yes, we have. Another actually really important game here. Maybe you could probably shine some light on this. Browns Texans. So I believe the Browns clinched the playoffs last week, but they're really not gonna. I don't think they're gonna be able to get their division at this point. I mean, the Ravens are 11-3, but it's really important for the Texans here. Like, if they want to stay alive, if they want to see a playoff scenario this year, they need to win this game against the Browns.
Well, can they?
I think they can. Honestly, I think they can. And they're a home dog. Are they? Is what's his face not playing?
He's
Case
not playing.
Keenum's playing.
Keenum's playing. I know. Their receivers out.
Okay.
This
This really sucks. If you're a Texans fan,
they lose.
This sucks.
Hopefully they get crushed. It's a rival, Fuck them.
No, I hear you.
But yeah, I mean, good for them that they found a quarterback. Great.
And they found a head coach. I think D'Amico Ryans is a great coach. From what this all looks like, because I don't think it's all C.J. Stroud. He's got a lot to do with this, the limiting the turnovers, and you know what I mean, knowing when to take your shot down the field. There's a little bit, as high scoring as their offense is, there's a lot of inconsistencies there. You know what I mean? There's a lot of oddball 3 and outs that they go through, whoever they're playing. So, but that comes with a young team and a young quarterback. Those things are going to happen. And the most important thing that we always say with these young quarterbacks is don't turn the ball over. And CJ's done a great job of that. I mean, it really sucks that he's I think he had a concussion, right?
Yeah.
It sucks that he's missing all this time, because this is probably going to keep them out of the playoff. I mean, they could lose this week and still maybe get in.
What's
at
the
10-7
like here? They're going to be, if they go 10-7, they would have to beat the Colts. If they lose and the Colts lose, basically the Texans can lose actually and win the next 2 games and actually get to the playoffs. I think they'd have to beat the Colts.
They play the Titans next week and then the Colts.
Colts play the Falcons. I think the Falcons win that game.
I could see that being the Sunday night game, Texans Colts. If Stroud comes back,
for the wild card spot.
Yeah,
that sucks. Try to be in the Christmas spirit, but it fucking just itches. That's how you know that Santa's not real, because you can't wear that hat all day.
Oh, that was not the thing to say in a live stream. Hopefully nobody with kids is listening. Santa's definitely real. Santa's listening, and Santa does not like that Vecino just said that.
Oops. Well, sorry, kids, but you're probably waiting up for Santa, so you probably aren't listening to the podcast today.
Vecino, what other games today caught your eye? Colts, Falcons, not too interesting, but Colts should win that game.
Well, obviously the Jaguars. Jets is the biggest game of the day. If the Jets lose, they're the 4. Then they get the 4 pick. If they win, they can get the 12th pick. So imagine winning this game against the Panthers and then losing out on an actual like big time left tackle, or losing out on the ability to trade back to the position that you would go to if you had just lost the game anyway. Think about it. You win today, you fucking are picking 12th. If you lose today, you pick 4th. If you lose and you pick 4th, you could trade back to 12 and acquire a 2nd and a 3rd. So the picks are on the line in this game for the Jets, and I think that in a year that it really, really matters because, look, the offseason is going to map out really nice for them. They're going to be able to draft players. They're going to be able to sign free agents. They're going to be able to, cut guys like Uzoma, Laken Tomlinson has to go, open up a lot of space for them cap-wise. And then after that draft, they can go to get Devontae Adams. It's easier for them to trade from after June 1st. So this is so important.
Are they going to be looking for a new GM come January?
Well, that's the problem. The Jets are the Jets, and I don't really have any faith in them. I don't think they're going to be good next year. I unfortunately have season tickets already. I can't do anything about it, but I don't think they'll be good. And I think they'll be bad for a while, and that's because they're going to hold on to this GM and they're going to hold on to the head coach. That's why another reason you have to root for losses as a fan, because as much as you want to see your team win, you know that they can't win in that position. Like they can't win with this head coach, no matter who the quarterback is. And because I know that, because it's obvious and it's evident that he's not a good coach, gets out coached every game. If they keep him, what am I doing? Because once we get to the playoffs anyway, who are we going to go up against? Top tier quality head coaches: Andy Reid, Doug Peterson, D'Amico Ryans, Mike Vrabel, Mike Tomlin. These dudes are awesome. Like
John Harbaugh.
John Harbaugh, Jim Harbaugh, like all these. Because imagine if Harbaugh goes to the Chargers, you now have the worst coach in the AFC. And why would you subject yourself to that? Knowing that if you fired him and you said, yo, Jim Harbaugh, let's have a conversation. We got Aaron Rodgers, an amazing defense, and we'll give you the ability to be this head coach for 5-6 years. You could have that Rodgers ride off into the sunset moment, and then you can go pick your own quarterback.
I don't think.
What are they doing?
So wherever Jim Harbaugh goes, what he's going to be asking for is that he wants to be the GM too. He doesn't just want to be a head coach. So there's got to be an ownership group that's okay with that. And I don't know if the Jets are one of those groups.
No, the Jets are an embarrassing organization. They do things at the wrong time.
I think if Jim Harbaugh goes there, he's not going there till, first of all, I don't think he's going to the NFL. I think he's going to stay at Michigan. But I don't think he could coach with a guy like Aaron Rodgers, because Jim is the guy. Like when Jim steps into a program, wherever that program is, he is the guy. The program is about him and then everyone else. Like that's just the way it is, right? If you go somewhere with Rodgers, it's not about you. It's about Rodgers, and you're a piece of the puzzle, but you're not the guy. Like Jim needs his voice to be heard, not someone else's. You know what I mean?
I understand that if it was like Houston or New Orleans or something, but this is New York, and the Jets haven't won in 50 years. I think that also Jim Harbaugh was a quarterback. Like Aaron Rodgers is the best quarterback. A lot of people and a lot of other quarterbacks say Tom Brady is the best quarterback of all time. But if you give a egomaniac quarterback coach turned head coach, college football guru, NFL guru, if you give him Aaron Rodgers, he might say, fucking let's go. Give me 2 years of him and then give me my rookie. I'm just saying it's so easy. It would be so easy for them. And at some point, don't you want to just alleviate some of the stress of play calling and game planning and the shit that the Jets always lose at? The Jets get out schemed every weekend. It's hard to win no matter who your personnel is when you get out schemed.
I don't think defensively they get out schemed.
They've been out schemed probably 5 or 6 times defensively this year out of 13 tries. And, it's not like they're – look, you can get out schemed and still have a good, a good game, sort of. But, we can go back and look at the times they've been out schemed. Twice against the Dolphins. They got out schemed against the Cowboys, they got out schemed against the Chargers, and they got out schemed against the Bills. So even as good as your defense is, the past 5 weeks, ready? They let up 30. Then 3 weeks prior, they let up 34. Then a week before that, they let up 32. And 2 weeks before that, they let up 27. So a team that's supposed to have this great defense seems to be getting out schemed in critical moments in the season when they were 4-3. After they got to 4-3, they let up 27. You know, I understand they scored 6, 12, 6, 13, 8, but like 6, 0, like it's embarrassing that they can't score on offense. But, you know, it doesn't help that the defense isn't getting turnovers and, you know, blocking. Like, you got to do something to help.
Turnovers are a bonus. Like, that to me is gravy. And I know we say it as fans, like, you got to turn the ball. But, like, ultimately, your job as the defense is to get off the field. Like,
yeah, Matt, this isn't a regular defense. People thought this Jets defense was going to be one of the best defenses in the NFL. Like, they thought it was going to be the best defense in the NFL and maybe one of the best defenses in the past decade. And they should have been. But when you don't have quarterback play and you don't have the greatest scheme and you don't move Sauce Gardner with the number 1 wide receiver the whole game like they should, then things like this happen when you fucking overbite on every screen pass. Because
why is that with Sauce? Why do they do that with him?
Because it's just the way that the scheme is. So when you have a scheme and you're not malleable to the other person's scheme, think about Bill Belichick. He has a scheme, but he really runs a multiple D. He runs whatever needs to be run to stop your offense. The Jets run their defense, and we're going to stop you with our defense. Okay, well, what did you do last week? And I'm Mike McDaniel, and I'm going to put my fucking glasses with the tape on it, and I'm going to sit down in my computer like a nerd, because that's honestly the best way to freaking beat a defense or anybody in the NFL is by just putting a really, really smart guy in front of a bunch of X's and O's and saying, how can you beat this guy in a game of chess? Clearly, if you don't change or do something different, you're going to get beaten time and time again. Maybe not every play because you're going to have great talent, but when you get beaten, can you change something?
I also think Miami is a team, though, that just is so... And, like, think about the NFL. Like, this is the pinnacle. This is the best some of the best athletes in the world, right? At least in this game. Like, they're like these are the best guys, right? And when you watch the Dolphins, I know they're not perfect, and I know that they're probably gonna lose at some point in the playoffs. Like, I don't see them going to the Super Bowl, but when you watch them, they just have so many guys that are just so much more gifted than everybody else you watch. Like, a guy like Tyreek that guy can literally be an Olympic sprinter. Like, I know you say that about a lot of people, but like Tyreek literally could. Yeah. You know, Raheem Mostert is fucking incredible. Like, they've got a few of these guys, Jalen Waddle, that are just so much more talented than anyone else, that they do have these days where they just go off on you. And there's nothing you could do to stop it. There's nothing.
No.
You know, when the Dolphins lose games, they lose because they shoot themselves in the foot. They don't lose because they line up against someone that's better than them. They lose because Mike McDaniel overthinks things, or they shoot themselves in the foot.
Well, the Jets lost because the Jets didn't have any offense against the Dolphins.
No offense, yeah.
The Jets also lost because DJ Reed got cooked 5 or 6 times by Jalen Waddle, and he let up 140 yards against him. And you know that Sauce is the bigger, lankier, faster player. Why would you put the short guy on the fucking big Alabama receiver that could burn down the field?
And Tyreek was out that game, right?
Tyreek didn't play. It would have been perfect to have Sauce shadow Jalen Waddle the whole game, and Jalen Reed, DJ Reed could have he could lock up anybody else on that team. Nobody would have got a yard on him unless it was Jalen Waddle. Yet, stubborn defensive coordinator, stubborn head coach with their defensive philosophy, that fucking, that Seattle Seahawks type approach where I'm not going to move my cornerback off his block. So can you just put players in a position to make plays? You have to, because your offense sucks. So why are you not trying to create a turnover? Why aren't you trying to get the ball back? And I know you said turnovers are gravy, and they are gravy, but not when you need them.
You know what I think? You know how you get turnovers, I think, in this league? I feel like you get it more when offenses are reeling. Like, the best thing to help your defense at times is to score a lot on offense, because now no matter what team you're playing, even the Dolphins, you're taking another team out of rhythm, out of their comfort zone, because now they're really pushing the ball down the field. They're getting aggressive. And when you get aggressive, there is an upside of, you could score, but the risk of turning it over is also there. So like at least from a Lions standpoint, when I want like the games where we get turnovers is not really because of something we did on defense. I always feel like we've put so much on the board and the other team is trying to compensate and a mistake is made. You know what I mean?
100%.
So that's that. But when you're the Jets and you physically can't score on offense, teams are comfortable playing you because they know that this is an offensive league. And no matter how good, like that's why I can't stand here in defense. Defense doesn't win championships. If defense won championships, the Jets would be 11-4 right now, or 11-3. Defense doesn't win. Great teams win. Great teams. You need great special teams. You need a great offense and a great defense to win in this league. That's just how it works, right? Because when you're playing a defense, when you're playing a team that's like the Jets with a top tier defense, like, okay, I don't have to score on every drive. I don't even need to score touchdowns. If I could kick 4 field goals today, I could win this game. And the way that the rules are set in this league, you could be a great defense and still make a minute mistake that gives the team 25, 30 yards. How many PIs, how many defensive holdings do we see every single week that are ticky-tack and bullshit? But it happens, and it's going to happen. And so that's why, like, people say, the defense. Yeah, the defense can only take you so far. You got to be able to put up points in this league. If you cannot put up points, you will do nothing. And the Jets are a prime example of it.
Without a doubt. Yeah.
Jerry just gave us his gambling picks for the day. Let's get that up on the screen.
Oh, that's Jerry?
That's Jerry, yeah.
What's up, Jerry? Merry Christmas. Sorry that I blew Santa on you.
No,
Chris and Jerry don't believe
kids. Packers spread. Who are the Packers are playing the Panthers.
Wow.
Is it really 6 points?
That could pay all the Christmas presents right there.
Yeah, I thought the Bills were going to do that. Good job, dumbass. What else we got here, Facino?
Oh, how's your fantasy teams? You got anybody left?
You talking about me?
Yeah.
I'm done with it. I've never played. I haven't played fantasy in 2 seasons now.
I have my fantasy team this week. I'm going up against Mike Vasilakopoulos. I have Mahomes, Debo. Obviously,
Debo.
Fucking took him early.
Does V tune into the show? Do you tell V?
I didn't tune in.
Why isn't he tuning in?
He's in his own world. Calvin Ridley I got Amari Cooper. I got DeAndre Swift, Travis Kelce, Raheem Mostert. This guy's got Justin Fields, Brandon Ayuk, Devontae Adams.
Justin Fields?
Justin Fields is a good fantasy quarterback.
He does rush a lot of yards. That's true.
He's got Bijan Robinson, Njoku, and he already had Olave and Higgins, and I had Kyron Williams go. I'm projected to beat him by a half a point, and I need Patrick Mahomes. But I had a great draft, but I traded George Pickens for Amari Cooper, and I lost J.K. Dobbins to the Achilles injury. My saving grace was I drafted Raheem Mostert in the 10th round, and the guy is the second best running back this year. So I was able to pick up some points there after I lost some points on J.K. Dobbins, and then I picked up Kyron Williams week 1. Everyone was saying, "Oh, you should have picked up Puka Nacua," and I should have, but I had the number 1 waiver, and I was like, I want the running back because I lost Dobbins, so why wouldn't I get the running back? So I got the running back, and Debo hooked me up by fucking never getting tackled again.
Can you use Debo as a running back or receiver in fantasy?
No, you can only use him. The only guy that's malleable like that is Taysom Hill. He could be a tight end. And that's a good player probably to have as a tight end. But I overdrafted Kelce. I overdrafted Mahomes. And I made the playoffs. I'm in the semi. So can you please, people don't even understand how bad of a season Mahomes is having. If you look at his fantasy numbers last year, he was averaging 25 points a game. He's averaging 19 points a game now. That's a touchdown and 50 yards less per game. That's horrible. He's having a really bad season. So
he's turning the ball over a lot too.
Yeah, he's not the same guy. I'm really upset about it. So let's see if he fucking turns it around today. I would take the Chiefs. I'll put all my money on the Chiefs on Monday. I know you're gonna have to wait a day, but if you had money from maybe some aunt gave you money in the Christmas card or something, put it on the Chiefs. Try to double it, and I think you will because
against the Raiders. I don't know. I don't like 10.5, dude. That's a lot of points.
Still the Raiders. I would love to see the Raiders score some points too, so that Mahomes has to throw all day. But
that's a game I would tease. I would probably tease that game. Get the Raiders at like 4.5. 4.5. I'm sorry, not the Raiders. Get the Chiefs at like 4.5. Or take a bunch of points on the fucking Raiders. And then you would tease down. Right now, the over/under on that's 40.5. So you would tease it down to like 32. Right? Yeah, that's how it would work. Like 32. So that's a nice bet right there. I think I might do that tomorrow. Maybe I'll tease. Maybe I'll tease that with the Eagles Giants over. But all right, you got anything else, Pacino?
No, actually, I have a fucking crazy Christmas Eve, so I gotta get going.
All right,
Merry Christmas to everybody.
Yep, thank you for tuning in. We appreciate it. Hopefully, we see the Lions win today. Let's win that division, and we will see you all Thursday.
And let's go, Jags.